I've submitted 4 letters of intent in the last 6 weeks. 4. And every single one came back the same way. The owner has decided to go in another direction. No explanation, no counteroffer, no negotiation, just silence. And here's what I realized while I was sitting with that silence. I wasn't waiting for a yes. I was waiting for permission. Permission from a landlord who doesn't know my business model. Permission from a market that doesn't owe me an explanation. And permission from someone, just anyone, to tell me it was okay to keep going.
Reality check. Nobody's coming.
I'm Kim.
And I'm Hal.
And this is Small Business, Big AI, where we stop playing defense
and start building a technology-enabled superpowers.
So last week, we talked about the middle disappearing and how AI is handling the work that really shouldn't have been work in the first place.
And today, we're talking about what's left when the middle is gone.
The edges, the decisions, the moments where you either move or you wait.
And waiting has a cost.
A cost that most people don't calculate until it's too late. So here's something I hear all the time from founders, from business owners that we work with. They say, I'm waiting for the market to stabilize, or I'm waiting for the right hire. Maybe even I'm waiting until I have more clarity. And on the surface, that sounds responsible.
It does, but I want to pause right there because there's a difference between discipline and delay.
Yeah, and that difference is subtle, which is why so many smart people miss it. Most founders aren't waiting because they're lazy. They're waiting because they don't want to make a mistake. So they don't want to burn cash. They don't want to regret a decision.
Which is fair. Cash flow mistakes hurt longer than ego mistakes.
Exactly. But here's the tension that nobody talks about, How the same instinct that protects your cash, it can also quietly stall your momentum. And that's where the permission trap sneaks in.
Because the question isn't, should I be careful? The question is, what kind of careful are you being?
Yes, there's a version of careful that says, I've run the numbers. I know my downside. If X happens, I move. Now, that's discipline. But then there's the other version, the one that says, I'll wait until it feels safer. And that one has no trigger.
No clock, no decision rule, just waiting.
And that kind of waiting, well, it feels wise. It feels mature, measured, and professional. But here's the hard truth. Markets don't settle. They shift. And while you're waiting for certainty, someone else is learning faster than you are.
And learning compounds, even when decisions aren't perfect.
So this is where cash flow discipline gets misunderstood, because discipline isn't about never moving. It's about knowing what you're risking, what you're protecting, and what it costs to do nothing.
And most people only calculate 2 of those. They see the cost of action. They don't price the cost of delay.
Yes. They ask, how much will this tool cost? Or how much will this hire cost? Even how much will this decision cost? But they don't ask, what does it cost if I'm 6 months late? What does it cost if my competitor learns first? What does it cost if my team loses momentum?
Because those costs don't show up on a P&L right away.
No, they show up later as friction, as missed opportunities, as businesses that look fine but feel stuck.
And here's the irony. The permission trap often convinces disciplined operators to abandon their own rules. They start outsourcing decisions to landlords, vendors, the market, even their own fear.
Which is why we say this isn't about reckless speed. This is about decision integrity. If you're waiting, well, great, but know why. Name the condition, set the trigger. Otherwise, you're not protecting cash. You're slowly leaking position.
And in the world where AI compresses time, position matters more than ever.
Okay, so I want to widen the lens for a minute because this isn't just something we're seeing at, the small business level. This is happening everywhere. At CES this year on the All In podcast, Jason Calacanis interviewed Bob Sternfels, the CEO of McKinsey. And one line, it really stopped me cold. And he said, and I'm quoting this, "I haven't met a CEO yet who isn't asking the same question. How do I get my organization moving faster?"
Every CEO,
Every one. Not about tools, not about headcount, not even about capital, but speed, decision speed.
which tells you something important. Technology isn't a constraint anymore.
Exactly how. Capital isn't the constraint. Talent isn't even the constraint. The bottleneck is judgment, and judgment gets slower when leaders are afraid of being wrong.
That's the permission trap at scale.
Yes. Now, this is where small business owners usually tune out and think, well, that's enterprise. That's McKinsey clients. That's not me. But that's the wrong conclusion. Because if large enterprises are struggling with decision speed, then small businesses actually have the advantage.
They just don't realize it.
Let's translate this. In a big organization, a decision moves through layers, through committees, approvals, budget cycles, even politics. Even with AI, momentum gets trapped in the middle.
Which means speed is expensive.
But in a small business, well, speed isn't expensive, it's available. If, and this is the key, if the owner is willing to decide.
And that is the real edge.
So, what does decision speed actually look like at the small business level? It's not chaos, it's not impulse, it's things like deciding to automate one function. I mean, not 10. It's running a pilot instead of a rollout. It's testing before hiring. It's using AI to model scenarios before committing cash.
That's controlled movement.
Exactly how. So decision speed doesn't mean doing everything fast. It means shortening the time between knowing and acting. And here's what Sternfeld said next, and this matters. He talked about leaders being stuck between two voices. The CFO saying, "We need to wait. We're not seeing ROI yet." And the CIO saying, "If we don't move now, we'll be disrupted."
Both are right.
Right, both are right. And only one of them accounts for the cost of waiting. The CFO sees the cost of action. The CIO sees the cost of inaction. And leadership, well, that lives in between.
Because the cost of inaction doesn't show up cleanly.
No, you don't see it as a line item. You feel it later as missed leverage, compressed margins, teams stuck in manual work, and customers who quietly choose someone else.
By the time it's obvious, it's usually irreversible.
And that's why this moment right now matters so much. AI isn't rewarding hustle anymore. It's rewarding judgment. So, like I said, the middle is gone. What's left are the edges, the calls you make, the bets you place, the moments you don't outsource.
And nobody's coming to make those for you.
No. And that's not a threat, it's an opportunity. Because for the first time, small business owners have access to the same thinking leverage that used to belong only to enterprise. So AI can handle the middle, but the edge, that's still human. That is still you. Okay, so there are three versions of this trap. There, three ways that we hand over our decisions to someone or something else.
And once you understand these, and truly see these from the eyes of the small business owners, you won't be able to unsee them.
And that's a good thing, Hal.
So let's walk through them.
Okay, so first there is waiting for the gatekeeper. So this is the silent landlord or the investor who wants one more thing, or the client who's, let me think about it, never turns into a yes.
You're literally paying rent on your timeline.
Right. Emotional rent, strategic rent.
Opportunity rent.
Okay, so second, we have waiting for the market to settle. Now, this one, sounds sophisticated, right? It's like I'll move when conditions look better. But here's the brutal truth. Markets don't settle. They shift, and winners move while things are shifting.
Listen, I'm all for wisdom, but not every pause is a trap. You know that.
Well, okay, you're right. But there is strategic patience, but that has a trigger. A clear condition like when X happens, we act. But the permission trap, it's just waiting. I mean, no trigger, just hope.
And hope is not a strategy.
Well, right. It's not a strategy.
So, what's the third version?
Well, how the third, and really the cruelest or the hardest one, is waiting for yourself. Now, it's like I'll move when I feel ready, or I'll wait for more confidence, or I'll wait for clarity.
Friend, you will never feel completely ready.
I mean, certainty doesn't come before action, it comes after. So once you decide, then you'll see if you were right. But waiting for certainty, well, that's procrastination in an Armani suit.
A very expensive suit.
That's right. Okay, so let me paint you a picture. I want to tell you about someone, and we'll call him David. Now, he ran a mid sized logistics company, good margins, a loyal team, and stable growth. And after 18 months or so, David had been exploring AI, which, I mean, let's be candid, that's startup code for stalling.
He explored all the webinars, all the demos, built a spreadsheet larger than his business plan.
Exactly. And he was waiting for the right tool or waiting for his ops managers to get on board and waiting for a competitor to go first so he could learn from their mistakes, he said.
And what happened?
A competitor did go first, but David did not learn from their mistakes. He learned from their wins. They automated routing, they cut delivery time by 23%, and they didn't do it perfectly, but they did it first. And by the time David was so-called ready,
He wasn't playing catch up, he was chasing.
exactly how. And here's the part that really got me when he told us this. He said, the tool I eventually chose, well, it was on my short list 18 months ago. I just couldn't decide.
So the information didn't change.
No, the information didn't change. The market didn't change. The only thing that changed by him waiting was his position in the market. So here's the core insight. Here's what I want you to take from David's story. The cost of waiting isn't just time, it's position. Every day you don't move, someone else does.
And in the world where AI compresses cycles and expectations, positions compound.
Absolutely, Hal. I mean, this is a new era, a new time. It's a market that rewards speed. And in a market that rewards speed, position compounds. Okay, I want to slow this down for a minute because I'm not talking about the permission trap from theory. I'm living it right now.
Yes, you really are.
I mean, how I've mentioned the agency bill before, the insurance agency that we're opening in Lake Nona. And on paper, everything makes sense. I mean, the model works, the demand is there, the systems are ready. But what's missing is the space. I'm talking 4 letters of intent, 4 rejections, no explanation, no negotiation, no follow-up, just silence.
Which is the hardest part?
I mean, it is. It truly is the hardest part because, silence messes with your head. It makes you start asking questions that don't actually move the business forward. Like, is it me? Am I missing something? Should I just take anything so I can open already? That's where the trap tightens.
That's when emotion starts whispering.
I mean, exactly. And here's the dangerous part. That whisper actually sounds reasonable. It says, you've waited long enough. Just make it work. Stop being so picky. But that's not courage. That's impatience dressed up as action.
And impatience burns cash.
Fast. And I know that. I've lived that lesson before. And this is why this has been such a balancing act. Because yes, I want to open, I'm ready to open, but I also know that emotional decisions are one of the fastest ways to destroy a good business model. AI or not, cash flow is still king or queen.
Always has been.
I mean, this past weekend helped me more than I expected. It was my birthday. We got away. I mean, listeners, Hal planned a surprise. Time with friends, church, conversations with people who've been exactly where we're trying to go, or really who are still doing it. And here's what struck me. Nobody said, wait for permission. Nobody said, the market will tell you when it's time. They talked about what to do next, how to implement, what success actually looks like. And this part matters. What success truly costs.
That's the difference between advice and wisdom.
Yes, that's the human in the loop. And it reminded me of something important. The people who build durable businesses don't wait for clarity. They decide with discipline. They don't rush, but they don't freeze either.
They keep control of what they can control.
Exactly. So instead of waiting for the perfect landlord, I'm building something else. The systems, the processes, the vendor relationships, the operating rhythm. I'm using AI the way it's supposed to be used as a thinking partner. I'm running scenarios. I'm pressure testing assumptions, modeling outcomes, and not to replace judgment, but to sharpen it.
Which is a really important distinction.
Right. AI doesn't give you permission, it gives you perspective. And perspective is what keeps you from making a panic decision just to feel progress.
That's the edge.
It is. Because here's the truth nobody likes to say out loud. Sometimes the permission trap doesn't look like waiting too long. Sometimes it looks like moving too fast for the wrong reasons. And this moment, this lease situation, it's forcing me to practice what we talk about every single week. And that's moving forward, but don't abandon your standards. Act, but don't bleed.
That's real leadership.
And it's uncomfortable. But the people who build things that last, well, they're willing to sit in that discomfort a little longer than everyone else. So here's your challenge for the week. I want you to name one decision that you've been waiting on. Just one. So maybe it's a hire that you haven't made or a tool that you haven't implemented. Or it could even be a conversation you haven't had, a bet you haven't placed.
Write it down.
Yes, write it down and then ask yourself one question. What am I actually waiting for?
If the answer is real information, specific, actionable, that's valid.
But if the answer is permission, like from the market, from someone else, or even from yourself, then guess what? You're in the trap.
And the only way out
is through. You must move, decide, and learn.
Because nobody's coming to give you permission.
And waiting for it, that's the most expensive decision you'll make this year. Now that's it for today's episode of Small Business Big AI. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Quick reminder, on January 27th, we're hosting a LinkedIn Live event and where we're pulling back the curtain on everything we've been building. So if this episode landed, if you're ready to stop waiting and start moving, you'll want to be there.
So, as always, the link is in the show notes. And also, if this episode hit home, send it to one person who's stuck in the permission trap. I mean, sometimes the best gift you can give someone is the language to name what's holding them back.
Until next time,
Keep embracing change. Keep innovating.
keep building your technology-enabled superpower.
And
This has been Small Business Big AI.
AI. We'll catch you in the next episode.